And I genuinely and instantly told him that the Minister of Transportation, Engineer Muazu Jaji Sambo, is qualified to coordinate the Presidential Campaign Council until issues are resolved in court. He did not say anything, but shortly thereafter, on the 20th of October, Muazu Jaji's name appeared as the coordinator. And I was very happy. And I text him congratulating him for his appointment. Little did I know that there will be problems.
Well, concerning Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi's claim that he actually recommended Engineer Muazu Sambo Jaji's name for the position of the Taraba State Coordinator for the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council. If he actually did that, then he did it with some mischief. We can read that in his own interview with Channels Television, where he himself said after announcing Engineer Sambo Jaji's name as the coordinator Taraba State Tinubu Shetima Campaign Presidential Campaign Council, he congratulated Engineer Jaji on a text message. If you can recommend somebody for this high position and only end up congratulating the person on a text message, I think there's a question mark on that. Why won't you go and see the person face to face, eyeball to eyeball? Give him a befitting handshake and hug him, congratulate him. I think that should be very formal. More so with the fact that Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi is the chairman of the All Progressives Congress Taraba State. He should have led a delegation of the APC executive of the state to go and congratulate Engineer Muazu Jaji. Failing to do that, I think, raises some question marks on his claim. And this can be corroborated also with the fact that afterwards, he continued speaking with the personal assistant to Engineer Jaji on crucial issues. Why won't he go and see Engineer Jaji himself face to face? Why would you corner his personal assistant and start talking to him? It corroborates the fact that Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi does not want to meet Engineer Muazu Sambo Jaji face to face. So his claim that he ended that name, if it is true, then there's some mischief there. Otherwise, I think he only spoke out of direct. But that is not even the crux of the matter here. The crux of the matter is Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi speaking with a tone of regret that after recommending Engineer Jaji now has turned his back against Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi. I think Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi is the wrong person to complain about this. If his conscience is correct, he should remember the fact that Senator Abubakar Yusuf actually stood tooth and nail against the wishes of most APC stakeholders in Taraba State on the issue of Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi coming back to occupy the present position he is occupying. In 2020, most stakeholders didn't want that. They were rooting for other candidates. They didn't want Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi to come back. Yet, Senator Abubakar Yusuf stood by the name and person of Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi and tried convincing all the stakeholders on the need for El-Sudi to come back. I remember a meeting in one of the state government lodges in Abuja here. In that meeting, there were about 9 people, senior stakeholders from Taraba State, APC, including clerics, who came and said they didn't want Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi to reoccupy that seat. Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf was the only person in that meeting who stood by the name and person of Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi. And whatever the story, the end came to be that Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi was elected back to that seat through the efforts of Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. And the first person Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi had to betray is Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf himself. And then he went ahead to betray the rest of the aspirants who aspired for the gubernatorial candidature of All Progressive Congress of Taraba State. Out of the 7 people that aspired for that position, Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi conspired and stood by only Senator Emmanuel Bwacha, to the detriment and unfair dealings against the rest of the 6. That's the crux of the fight now for the position of the candidature of APC gubernatorial candidate in Taraba State. Everybody knows that that primary election did not hold, and the courts have said it. So for Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi to come and start regretting that actions of Engineer Jaji has actually betrayed his confidence, I think there's something wrong with Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi's conscience. If he uses the very conscience in betraying the rest, I think he should expect that such would be done to him.
We now had to go on social media as they did to tell them of our displeasure that there was no wild consultation.
Why social media?
Why social media? Because it was in the night. And therefore, we could not write anybody, we could not write the minister any letter.
You said you were able to reach Mr. Faleke and recommended and suggested that the minister be the state coordinator.
Yes,
so
he was my colleague in the National Assembly.
So why couldn't you reach him with a call?
Well,
rather than go to social media?
In fact, we saw it on a social media. Since they have bypassed us, we equally had to, act the way they acted.
And about the usage of the social media for communication by Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi himself, I think the anchor on that Sunrise Daily program of channels did a wonderful job there. He asked Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi, why the social media? Why use the social media? And it was all a barrage of confusion in his own answers. Because it was night, so he couldn't do anything. Because the other people too, the other side too, used social media. I think a whole former Attorney General of a state, a person of establishment as he prouds himself, I mean an established legal person, to go and ambush his own people with that kind of uncourteous actions. I think it was a barrage of misdoings. I think that should not come from the person he claims he is, a person of establishment, legally minded person. I think let him re-examine those positions he claims. Those positions are not befitting for the actions he has taken about the social media issue. And more so, that social media letter, I think I find it laughable from the people of establishment, himself, his secretary. He said he gave the go-ahead for that letter to be published. And I am even sorry for calling it a letter. That particular document has no heading. He says it is a press release. On that document, there is nowhere where it is mentioned that it is a press release. And going through the paragraphs, the sentences, as a media person, if you interact with the media, you would know that the tone of that document has nothing to do with a press release, and it was not as such headed. Then it was not addressed to any other person. The addressing was empty. Nothing showing that this letter has been addressed to a particular person or to the public. More so, worst of it all, the letter remains undated. There is no date on that letter. How can a person of establishment, a person of leadership of that particular position, how can such a person, a legally minded person, how would he author or release a particular document, public document, without a date? I think this shows the kind of capacity that is in these people. Or, let me put it succinctly, the type or the weight of incapacity that is embedded in these people. You can clearly see it on that document. That document is reckless and unbefitting from such a very great office. So I think for that particular document, this group of people should bury their heads in shame. Concerning the letter too, or the document on the social media, Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi agrees that he actually gave the go-ahead for the letter or for the document to be published on the social media. And it was signed by the secretary of the party. By precedence, by convention, and I even dare say by rule, if we have a PRO, a media person, a veteran media person in the person of Aaron Atimas, occupying the position of Taraba State APC PRO, I think it was wrong, reckless for Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi to have made the secretary to sign and release that particular document, except if there is a crack in his own leadership and followership in the executive. Otherwise, I think the PRO should have signed that press release, as he calls it. He said it is a press release. I think it was only good for the PRO to have signed and released that, not the secretary himself.
And I was inundated with calls from my Christian brothers. I am a Muslim. They said, why do you fix inauguration of a campaign on a Sunday? I didn't have any answer. So we had to write another letter showing our disdain that we are not a party to what was going on.
Who did you write this one to?
We didn't write specifically to anybody. It was a press release.
Then blowing the dirty and noisy horn about inaugurating the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council in Taraba State on a Sunday by Ibrahim El-Sudi is actually dirty. And I think he needs to re-examine his conscience. Actually, if he is raising this issue, or the fact that he has raised this issue, means he should resign his position as the chairman of the Taraba State All Progressive Congress. Yes, I say it emphatically that he should resign his position, for particularly talking about inaugurating the PCC in Taraba State on Sunday. He should resign. My reason is simple. The present position he occupies, chairman, All Progressives Congress, Taraba State, he rose to that position. He got back to that position on a Sunday. His election to this position was on a Sunday. Sunday, 24th of October, 2021. That was when that election held, and the affirmation by the delegates there took place on a Sunday, and he was inaugurated. So what conscience does he have to speak about an event on a Sunday, saying that possibly that would exclude or malign our Christian brothers and sisters? I think it's very unlike somebody with good conscience to complain about this, except if Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi wants to talk to us or wants to teach us about a new calendar system, that there is a political Sunday and there is a Christian Sunday. So we would have to learn that his own election was done on a political Sunday and the inauguration of the PCC was done on a Christian Sunday. So that would be wrong. Possibly we still have to look for another political Sunday to do it. Otherwise, he himself didn't complain about that political Sunday, 24th of October 2021. He didn't complain about that because he's occupying or he's enjoying the booty from that Sunday. And not only himself, but his vice chairman, a Christian, is enjoying that. His organizing secretary, a Christian, is enjoying that. His PRO, a Christian, is enjoying that. And numerous other Christians on that cabinet are enjoying the fact that they were elected on a Sunday. What has made that Sunday different from this Sunday? I think Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi should come out and teach us that there is a political Sunday and there is a Christian Sunday.
Let's see if you understand what your bone of contention is. First, are you upset that he, the Minister of Transport, is the state coordinator? You're okay with that because you recommended it.
I initially recommended, but his recent behaviors, attitudes, and dispositions towards certain people.
So the key thing now
leaves much to be desired.
Now, the bone of contention, the former Attorney General of Taraba State has said, is that Senator Emmanuel Boacha and his men have been excluded or have been maligned from participating in further activities of Taraba State APC campaigns. He has smartly said it, that Senator Boacha and his men. Why Senator Boacha and his men? Why won't somebody of his own status come out and say there is an unfair dealing? Out of the 7 aspirants who aspired for the candidature of Taraba State APC gubernatorial in Taraba State, he is only talking about Senator Emmanuel Boacha. This should show you his bias, his leaning. That's where he has chosen to lean, not the rest, not the party itself, not the party structure. As a matter of fact, he has taken the party structure as his hands can lay on and has given that to the camp of Senator Emmanuel Boacha. When the committee to conduct the primary election was coming to Jalingo, he and some few other people around him took all the election materials and handed them over to Senator Boacha and his men. That was why the election did not hold, because when they came to Jalingo, the rest of the aspirants insisted on seeing all the election materials tabled before them before the election would hold. Unfortunately, that could not happen because the election materials were already in the hands of Senator Emmanuel Boacha's men, and they were in a secret location already doctoring the results. That's how what we presented at the court. and the court so reasoned with what we presented it with. So the whole thing is one group of people in the name of Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi with the Bwacha camp fighting against the rest of the party members. I think he created that scenario himself, unfortunately for him. And he has answered, he has accepted that the party or the structure went out of his grip, ran out of his grip. That is part of the one of the last things he stated in that interview, that he lost grip of the structure. He lost grip of activities of the party simply because he chose to run the party the way he thought it should be run, not the way it should be run. His thinking, his bias is actually different from reality. And that is his singular failure.
As far as we are concerned, the Court of Appeal has made pronouncement that he is the candidate.
But there are still other cases
There
that are
are
pending.
other cases, they can never be different from this other case that has been decided.
But we cannot tell.
I believe that.
It's a belief, but we can't tell for sure because he also believed that he was not going to lose any of the cases in court, which
But
he lost
for
some of the
whatever
cases
it
in
is
court.
worth, the minister has failed in his responsibilities as a coordinator, as a unifier.
Well, isn't it laughable that a former Attorney General of Taraba State, a legal-minded person, would preempt the outcome of a judgment that is yet to be delivered? He is claiming that Senator Emmanuel Bwacha remains the APC candidate in Taraba State, when the first case of Chief David Sabo Kente was given at the trial court, at the High Court, in favor of David Sabo Kente. Senator Emmanuel Bwacha appealed, and the appeal was given to Senator Emmanuel Bwacha, the judgment of the appeal, in favor of Senator Emmanuel Bwacha. Then later on, the case instituted by Senator Yusuf Abakar Yusuf came and then went in favor of, the judgment went in favor of Senator Yusuf Abakar Yusuf, that the primary election in Taraba State did not hold. So this is the subsisting or the existing scenario. But Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi is claiming that the outcome will not be any different. How would somebody of that legal status come out and boldly preempt this kind of scenario? I think is unlike a seasoned lawyer. I think he is either, I think there's certainly a question mark on either his professionalism or his conscience, one of the two, and I hope not both. So he is already preempting that the appeal Senator Emmanuel Bwacha has made against Senator Yusuf's judgment would come the way the appeal of DSK went. I think that is unlike a lawyer. I think is simply laughable. He has descended. He has said he will not descend into the arena of conflict. He has already descended into the arena of conflict here. In fact, I don't even want to say he has descended into the arena of conflict. He has descended into the arena of confusion, utter confusion. I think in their own thinking. I think he should to recover from that kind of failure would be a miracle. It would be a miracle if he or they are able to recover, come back to their consciences, and then act in fairness to all. I doubt this situation. As a matter of fact, I don't see it. I don't see it in the horizon.
I thought he will unify the party.
Is that
bring
why
all contending forces?
Is that why
within the party hierarchy? But he has failed to do that.
But is that why people then went and began to tear the posters that had the presidential candidates, the VP candidates, and some states candidates? They were tearing the poster that was put in place by Muazu
I believe
himself.
that was a setup, either by those that are supporting the minister or by PDP. I am not very sure. The police is investigating the issue. They just want to blackmail and paint Imabacha's camp black.
But you have heard that some of them say that it were people from Imabacha's team.
That is somebody that was interviewed by Umar Umar, who is a PA to the honorable minister. Why can't they take him to the police? And from the grapevine, what I understand is that he was called upon to say what he said.
Called upon by who?
He was called upon by maybe Umar who interviewed him. As of today, he is not even in Jalingo. Why didn't they hand him over to the police?
But has he denied what he said ever since then?
Well, he denied it to some people that because he was coming from PDP and because of certain activities he did, they set him up that they will,
Do you have it on record, like the one he spoke previously?
No, I don't have that on record. I don't have that on record.
Then I think one of the funniest issues there is when a former Attorney General of Taraba State, a legal-minded person, a person of personal caliber, descended into the arena of confusion, arena of speculations, a lot of speculations. I think he shouldn't speculate. For instance, he speculated that some people, that's how he made it. Some people were given to present 10 names for inclusion in the PCC. Who are those some people? He has not said it. Then he has also speculated on the issue of that youth who was caught leading some other youths to destroy posters and billboards of other candidates who are not pro-Boacha. He speculated that the person, that youth, when arrested, spoke to some people and denied that he ever did that. Some people. Who are those some people? He cannot mention them. And then he also speculated that it was a setup. By who? He couldn't say. That's another speculation. Another speculation, he said some people were working to scandalize himself, possibly with their own camp. I think his speculations by some people. Why should somebody continue? He has mentioned by 10 times. I think at a point he started stammering. So he sounds like a person of his own caliber. That undermines his own integrity in dealing with a lot of diverse opinions. I think he has lost the grip, he has lost the integrity to hold on to that party leadership and then steer the party to success come 2023. A lot of us, I think, would continue seeing those question marks hanging on him. He himself has said he has lost grip of the party. He said it. By saying that alone, I think qualifies him to honorably resign from that position. Otherwise, his staying there is unhealthy for the party. And he has also failed talking about the Sunday inauguration. I think that put a lot of question marks on his conscience to continue leading the party. I think by and large, Barrister Ibrahim El-Sudi should resign.
Well, we have reached out to the Minister of Transport, so we'll get him to also respond to some of the allegations made here, as you have heard, but that will be much later.